Ready to kick off the new year? By digging into the old year, you'd be surprised how much history is packed into just saying Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving deep today into a video from Evrim Asaka.
Cool.
It means evolution tree in Turkish.
Wow.
They're a science education platform,
Nice.
and they're great at weaving cultural and scientific perspectives together.
Sounds right up our alley.
So
yeah.
buckle up.
Okay.
We're tracing New Year's traditions all the way back, from ancient rituals to all the stuff we do today, like awkwardly hugging distant relatives at midnight.
Hopefully your New Year's Eve is a little more fun than that.
Haha, right.
But you're right about one thing.
What's that?
The idea of marking a new year goes way back.
How far back?
Thousands of years.
Whoa!
Long before any calendars we'd recognize.
Or way back then.
Yeah.
The video drops us right into ancient Babylon,
Okay.
about 4,000 years ago,
Wow.
to this thing called the Akitu festival.
Akitu Fest.
They really knew how to throw a party.
How so?
It lasted 11 days.
That's one long party.
For real.
But the Akitu festival was a lot more than just a party.
It was.
Yeah, it was a huge part of ancient Babylonian culture.
I see.
And it was really tied to their agricultural cycle, specifically to when they planted barley.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Rituals, poems reciting their creation myths,
Whoa.
statues of gods paraded through the streets.
They went all out.
They did.
I wonder if they had ancient Babylonian noisemakers and confetti.
Uh-huh. Who knows?
But really, though,
yeah.
it's mind-blowing that something we do today has roots going back that far.
I know, it's amazing, right?
And the video mentions how those traditions spread outwards
Oh, yeah.
to other places.
That's interesting.
So it wasn't just a Babylonian thing.
You're right.
It wasn't.
No, the Akitu's influence went way beyond Babylon.
Like where?
It affected the Assyrians and even reached the Roman Empire.
Yeah, cultural ideas are constantly moving.
It's true.
They travel, adapt, and evolve
Exactly.
as they bump into other cultures.
Right.
So it's not about one culture stealing from another.
No, not really.
It's more like
Yeah.
it's like a shared heritage that grows and branches out.
That's a great way to put it.
Cool.
The video actually uses a really interesting analogy to explain this.
What is it?
Humans and chimpanzees
Okay.
sharing a common ancestor.
I see.
We didn't evolve directly from chimps,
Right.
but we do share a common origin.
Uh-huh.
And then each lineage went on its own unique evolutionary journey.
Interesting.
Cultures are kind of similar.
Oh.
They interact,
Uh-huh.
exchange ideas,
Okay.
and over time,
Yeah.
they develop their own unique expressions based on those shared roots.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
It is, isn't it?
And speaking of unique cultural expressions,
Yeah.
the video also mentions this thing called Nevruz.
Nowruz.
It's another ancient New Year celebration.
Oh, right.
It is right.
Yeah, Nowruz is fascinating.
What's so fascinating about it?
Well, it's another example of how cultures develop similar rituals independently.
Wow.
It was celebrated by Iranian and pre-Islamic Turkic societies.
Look at that.
And Nowruz is tied to the March equinox.
The March equinox.
So a completely different time of year than the Akitu.
I see.
But it still has that same core idea of renewal and celebration,
Yeah.
marking a new beginning.
So
Yeah.
we've got ancient Babylon
Uh-huh.
and Persia
Right.
ringing in the new year
Yes.
in their own ways.
Exactly.
What about New Year's traditions that we know today?
Light.
The ones we love
Okay.
or love to hate.
Uh-huh.
Where does Santa Claus fit into all of this?
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
His origins are surprisingly complex.
All right.
Most people connect him to St. Nicholas,
Right.
that Christian figure from the 3rd century.
Yeah.
But the video suggests that his origins go back even further. Wait,
This is where things get interesting.
how so?
We're talking Odin from Norse mythology,
Okay.
Ayaz Ada from Central Asian traditions,
Uh-huh.
and even Siberian shamans.
Interesting.
And get this,
What?
these shamans supposedly flew
They flew.
with the help of hallucinogenic mushrooms.
That's quite a mix.
I know, right?
So figures like Santa Claus,
Yeah.
they're like cultural mosaics.
Cultural mosaic.
Pieced together from different beliefs and practices
Right.
from completely different times and places.
Whoa. So basically Santa has this
Yeah.
secret, super international backstory.
You could say that.
Makes you wonder how many other everyday things
Yeah.
have origins that we'd never guess.
I bet it's a lot.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Santa's a bit of a mystery.
Kind of.
What about Christmas itself?
What about it?
We always hear about December 25th being the date of Jesus' birth,
Right.
but the video kind of suggests that there's more to that story.
You're right.
There is.
Yeah, the exact date of Jesus' birth. It's actually not that certain historically. Choosing December 25th probably had more to do with its closeness to the Roman festival of Saturnalia.
Wait, hold on. Saturnalia.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It was a big Roman festival with lots of feasting and celebration. Choosing a date so close to Saturnalia might have been a way for early Christians to make Christianity more appealing to people who were used to celebrating Saturnalia.
That's a pretty clever strategy.
It is.
So they didn't just pick a random date.
Not at all.
And it's worth pointing out that even historians don't fully agree on why December 25th became the chosen date.
Interesting.
The video mentions Pope Julius I, making it official in the 4th century.
Right.
But there are a lot of different theories out there.
That's true.
So even the date of Christmas has this whole hidden layer of history.
It really does.
It's pretty fascinating.
What is?
How these things get woven together over time.
Absolutely.
And speaking of weaving things together, the video also talks about some Turkish traditions.
Oh, yeah.
That echo these winter solstice celebrations.
Interesting.
Even without a direct connection to Christmas.
That's cool.
It is right. The video highlights Nardojan and Yanjergat.
Interesting names.
They're celebrated on the winter solstice in Denizli, Turkey.
Gotcha.
These traditions also use pine trees and gifts.
Like Christmas.
Yeah, just like Christmas.
It really shows how cultures around the world have come up with their own ways to mark this time of year.
I agree.
It really makes you realize how interconnected we all are.
Yeah.
Even with all our differences in geography and culture.
For sure.
But here's a thought.
Shoot.
All these events on the calendar, they're basically human-made.
Right. Yeah.
So does that mean that the whole idea of New Year is kind of arbitrary?
That's a great question.
It is. Yeah, and it brings us to a really important point.
What's that?
If we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, what we're seeing is the power of human choice and interpretation.
Interesting.
We decide when a year begins and ends.
Yeah.
And we give that time period meaning
makes sense.
The Gregorian calendar.
The one we use today.
Right, that one. It's just one system out of many.
Out of many.
Yeah, tons of different systems have been used throughout history and by different cultures.
So basically, we created this whole framework for marking time.
You got it.
And we filled it with traditions and meanings that resonate with us.
Exactly.
I wonder what an alien civilization would think of New Year's Eve parties.
Good question.
But on a more serious note, if New Year's is ultimately a human construct, what does that mean for us?
For us?
Yeah, for us celebrating it today.
It means New Year's is like a blank canvas.
A blank canvas.
You get to decide what it represents for you. The video actually encourages us to move away from rigid resolutions.
You mean like?
You know, I'll definitely go to the gym every day kind of.
Yeah. And instead, we should focus on setting a theme for the year.
A theme. So instead of saying, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, it's more like, this year, I'm all about prioritizing my health.
Exactly.
It doesn't feel as much like setting myself up for failure.
Right.
It's more about enjoying the process.
You got it.
I like that. It's like we're reframing the idea of New Year's resolutions.
In what way?
It's less about achieving something specific and more about personal growth, just becoming a slightly better version of ourselves.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
It's about enjoying the journey.
The journey.
Speaking of journeys, this deep dive has taken us on quite a ride.
It has.
We've gone from ancient Babylonian rituals to modern-day reflections on what it means to celebrate a new year. We've uncovered the Akitu festival.
That's right.
Explored how cultural ideas spread and evolve. And even looked at the origins of Santa Claus.
Who knew he had such a diverse background?
And let's not forget those Turkish winter solstice traditions.
Good point.
They remind us that even without direct connections, cultures all over the world have found ways to celebrate this time of year.
That's right.
With rituals and symbols that feel familiar, like pine trees and gifts.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that we're all more interconnected than we realize.
I agree.
But one of the most mind-blowing takeaways for me is that the whole concept of a year is something humans made up.
It's true.
It really puts things into perspective.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
And what's really fascinating...
What is it?
...is that even though it's made up,
Yeah.
we've created all these meaningful traditions and celebrations around this one point in time.
I see.
It speaks to our deep-seated need to mark time and to celebrate new beginnings.
You hit the nail on the head there.
Did I?
It's all about new beginnings.
It is.
And with that in mind,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what resonates with you, dear listener.
Me too.
Think about all the stuff we've talked about today.
Like what?
Ancient festivals,
Huh.
cultural exchanges,
Okay.
the evolution of traditions.
Yeah.
What stands out to you most?
What sparks your curiosity?
What connections do you see between those ancient rituals
Right.
and how we celebrate New Year's today?
I like that.
And maybe even more importantly,
Yeah.
what meaning do you bring to this time of year?
Good question. It means New Year's is kind of like a blank canvas, you know?
A black canvas?
You get to decide what it means to you. The video encourages a shift away from those rigid resolutions.
You mean the ones we make and then break like 2 weeks later?
Yeah, exactly. Those I'll definitely go to the gym every day kind of deals.
Oh, yeah. Those.
And instead, it suggests focusing on a theme for the year.
A theme.
A theme instead of a resolution.
So instead of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
It's more.
Yeah.
This year, I'm all about prioritizing my health.
That's the idea.
That feels a lot better.
Right.
Like, it's less about setting myself up for failure and more about actually,
Yeah.
enjoying the process.
Exactly. It's not about a strict goal.
Yeah.
It's more like setting an intention.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like reframing resolutions.
Totally.
It's less about achieving something specific. It's more about personal growth.
I like that.
Just becoming a slightly better version of ourselves.
No, you got to think of it this way.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on the destination, it's about enjoying the journey.
The journey.
And speaking of journeys,
Yeah.
this deep dive has taken us on quite the ride.
From real.
From ancient Babylonian rituals
Right.
to thinking about how we celebrate New Year's.
We've uncovered the Akitu festival. We talked about how cultural ideas evolve.
Right.
And we even looked at where Santa Claus comes from.
It's amazing how much history is packed into one holiday.
And don't forget those Turkish winter solstice traditions.
Oh, yeah, good point.
They remind us that cultures all over the world celebrate this time of year.
Even without direct connections.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
But I think one of the biggest takeaways for me
What's that?
is that this whole concept of a year, it's something humans just made up.
It really is.
And it makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. It puts things into perspective.
It does.
And what's so fascinating is that even though it's made up,
Right.
we created all these traditions around it.
Traditions that are full of meaning
It shows how much we need to mark time.
and to celebrate new beginnings.
Exactly.
You're right on the money with that one.
New beginnings.
Right. And with that in mind, I want to hear from you, dear listener.
I do too.
What stood out to you from today's deep dive?
Think about those ancient festivals we talked about.
The cultural exchanges.
The evolution of traditions.
What sparked your interest?
What connections do you see?
Between those ancient rituals
Yeah.
and the way we celebrate New Year's today.
I like that question.
And maybe even more importantly, what meaning do you bring to this time of year? It's incredible, isn't it?
What is?
How New Year's celebrations
Yeah.
have evolved over time
It's amazing.
and adapted across different cultures.
It's like we've been on this journey.
Yeah.
Peeling back layers of history.
And revealing.
This incredible tapestry of tradition.
And influences.
But you know what I find fascinating?
What's that?
New Year's is also
Yeah.
a really personal thing.
It is, isn't it?
We might share some common threads, those pine trees, gift-giving traditions
Yeah.
that we see across different cultures.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the way we celebrate, the meaning we attach to it,
Yeah.
it's all up to us.
I think that's a really important point.
I do too.
We can learn about the history,
Yeah.
see how these traditions have changed over time.
Right.
But what matters most?
Yeah, is what it means to you.
And I think that's what we really want to leave you with today.
As you get ready to ring in the new year, think about what this time represents for you.
What are you carrying forward from the past year?
What intentions are you setting for the year ahead?
And remember,
Yeah.
instead of getting caught up in those strict resolutions,
Right.
try setting a theme for the year.
A theme.
Something that speaks to you.
Yeah, something that inspires you.
Like what?
It could be the year of creativity or the year of adventure.
About that.
It could even be the year of finally cleaning out that junk drawer.
Whatever works.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Embrace that fresh start.
So To all our listeners out there.
Yeah.
As you raise a glass to the new year.
Or a mug of tea.
No judgment here.
Remember that New Year's traditions are this amazing blend of cultural influences.
But the most important part
is the meaning you give it.
So keep exploring.
Stay curious.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.